Once upon a time, on an overcast fall day in sleepy Stevens Point, a girl woke up to the sounds of knocking coming from her door.
Autumn? Autumn, wake up.
Ugh! Roger, what is it? It's 6:30 in the morning.
I thought, well, maybe I could run with you today.
Roger, I'm not sure I want to go running.
Oh, okay. See you later?
Sure, I'll see you then.
However, this was a lie. She had wanted to go running, but not with him. He had recently began acting weird when around her, and she wondered if he had feelings towards her. More importantly, she wondered if she had feelings towards him. That thought occupied her mind as she got dressed and went outside to go running an hour later. Autumn headed off towards Schmeekly, with Roger still on her mind. As she began running, a voice came from the distance.
Miss, excuse me. I'm sorry, but you can't be running through Schmeekly Reserve.
Autumn realized that someone was speaking to her, so she turned towards the officer and asked,
I'm sorry, officer. What did you say?
You can't go into the reserve. We found 7 dead bodies in there yesterday, and it's closed until further notice.
Of course, officer. I understand.
She had heard about the bodies the night before, but that wasn't going to stop her from taking her morning run. She went around to a side entrance and began running there. When she got to the darker part of the forest, she heard a noise.
Hello? Is anybody there?
There was no response, but when she began running again, she once again heard the noise. But this time when she turned around, she was met by a stranger in a mask, who immediately jumped her. They both fell to the ground, and she tried to fight him off, but she wasn't strong enough. He began to slide his hand under her shirt, and she thrashed even harder, forcing him to begin choking her. But just before she was to pass out, she managed to kick him in the stomach, causing him to temporarily fall off of her. She got up and ran as fast as she could back towards campus. She ran out of the forest, with only the safety and security of Roger on her mind. She made it to the street and halfway to campus when she heard a distant car noise. She had barely turned when she was struck by a car and left for dead by the killer. Autumn woke up, being wheeled slowly away from a hospital later that evening. She had survived being hit by the car, with only leg bruising and a mild concussion. No one had believed her story about being attacked. They took her back to her dorm and laid her to bed. Roger was there with her, as he had volunteered to be her watcher throughout the night.
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good to hear. I'll let you sleep. By the way, I brought you your favorite drink.
Roger was holding a cup of apple cider, which he then set down next to her bed.
I'll be back in a few hours to check on you again.
Thank you, Roger. I've really appreciated everything you've done for me.
Roger then left. Autumn then fell asleep. She woke up a few hours later, her head buzzing and throat dry. She found the cup of apple cider that Roger had brought her and took a big gulp of it. A few moments later, she noticed that her head hurt more than before, and that she was dizzier too. She tried sitting up, but then fell back down.
Ow!
How do you like my little surprise?
Suddenly, from the shadows of her room, the killer appeared, moving slowly towards her.
Leave me alone.
He then bent down next to her head.
You know, you're the first beautiful girl that has gotten away from me. But not this time. Your friend conveniently left me a drink to put a roofie in. I used to have a beautiful girl like you many years ago. But then I lost her. I became jealous of all the people who had pretty girls. Now I can have all the beautiful girls I want. But it's too bad they don't live long afterwards.
He then jumped on top of her, her whole body screaming in agony. And before anything else happened,
Hey, I'm here to check on...
Roger had walked in on the killer on top of Autumn, who suddenly lunged at him and slammed him against the wall, all while Autumn laid there motionless. The killer pulled out a small switchblade from his pocket, stabbing it into Roger's side. Roger screamed in pain and fell to the ground, holding his side. But before the killer could finish him off, students appeared in the doorway, having heard the screams. Seeing no way out, he ran to the window and jumped out into the cold, dark night. As people began chasing after him, others helped Autumn and Roger. Roger was bleeding and losing color fast, and the roofies were quickly taking over Autumn's body. But the last thing she saw before she passed out was Roger looking up at her, smiling.